Now we come to the fourth stroke. We learned the freestyle, which is probably the easiest stroke to learn. Then the backstroke. Then we teach the butterfly, and now we come to the breaststroke. And one way to describe breaststroke is probably to call it the frog stroke, because the legs take the same action as what a frog generally does. So we're going to teach that. And like in freestyle and backstroke, well, the first thing we do is try to teach them the kick. This can be a little complicated. So certain children have a little stiff ankles, stiffer than others. If they are naturally stiff, it is a lot easier to learn. If they have nice flexible ankles, which is good for the flutter kick like freestyle and backstroke or even butterfly, then this becomes a little harder. That's how children are. But either way, we have to be very patient in teaching kids this particular stroke if they are slow at learning the kick, because the arms aren't so difficult. So the first thing we see here is we get the swimmer on land, and we have the coach, especially the coach, to demonstrate what it means to do the kick, and that's what we see here. So the coach tends to first bend the leg, the swimmer in this sense. So obviously you're going to do it only with one leg, bend it, and then be able to turn your toes out, come into a hook situation like this, and then turn the legs around and then bring it back together again. So that's what they do with one leg at a time, teaching especially this hook system. And once they've mastered that on land with each of the legs independently, we get them in the water. Again, the edge of the pool comes into the rescue. We get the it's always good for the coach to demonstrate first. So we have the coach to demonstrate what it looks like, the kick, with the swimmer seated on the edge. And what you first do is you bend the leg towards the wall, but you take it slightly out, and then at that point you learn to hook those. A lot of times to hook, if you stiffen the ankle here, the calf muscle, tighten the calf muscle, the feet tend to hook that way, and then you're able to throw those legs around, make a little circle out of it, and bring the legs together. Soon as you bring the legs together, you don't want to have that hook system, but you want to have the toes pointed. Now obviously the coach will now stand next to the swimmer and guide the legs, if the best way possible, and see how best the child can learn this bending of the legs, hooking the ankles, circling the legs around, and bringing them get together again and pointing them in front. So once they they got a feel of pushing that water backwards but still seated in the water, they then come and then after that we have the swimmers in the water. Like in freestyle, we get them to bring half their body out of the water, lie on their stomach, and then the coach stands on the side and guides their leg. You can see the action. Bend the legs again, hook them, come into the hook position I would say, circle the feet around and squeeze the leg. In squeezing, you have that tendency to push the water back and the body moves forward. Once that is done, it's very simple. We get them again. Remember, the kickboard comes into play here. It assists them to stay afloat. So again, fingers on top, thumb underneath, they push off. Here we only want one kick done properly. So we get them to push off, not be in a hurry, glide, stay, float, body moves. Before the body, after a short glide, they start the process of the kick. Now again, the coach can be next to the swimmer, teaching the full movement of the leg, and sometimes it doesn't need any support. But it's important that they do one kick, glide, and stop. When they accomplish this one kick properly, then we introduce 2 to 3 kicks, and we keep repeating that, and they really get used to it. Then we can go a longer distance. So now the kick is done. So all this time we were able to now get the kick done. Key now is, before we introduce the arms, we're going to introduce now the breathe. So with the kick, because the kick has this whole round leg action, what we teach them to do is, as they bend their leg, and they lift their head up. As they bend their leg, they lift their head up to breathe, and when they circle and kick their legs back into a squeeze position, they kick that head down simultaneously. So that's what we see here in the swimmer doing that one kick with the board, taking that one breath and trying to connect the timing of lifting the head and the kick. Once this is accomplished, we obviously can get them to do 2-3 kicks, repeat that with the breathing, and now we accomplished the kick and we introduce the breathing. Now we got to finally introduce the arms of breaststroke, which is not the most difficult thing. It's quite simple. They start with the hands in front, so they sort of send their hands out. So technically we get kids to say a small mantra here, the letter I. So we stop here and say I wait, then we push them to the Y. So to get used to that, we get them to walk up and down the pool, the chin on the surface, walking and doing that pull, practicing it with the mantra being spoken out. I wait, they walk, Y wait, they do a small circle around, hands come underneath the chin and they put their hands in front. So it's a little circle swim, but we get them to spread their arms slightly to a Y position. They go too wide, we call it a W. So the coach will say, hey, try and stop at the Y. If it's too narrow, they can say to widen the outward pull. So once this is accomplished, again like the butterfly, we use the freestyle kick to keep momentum or propulsion. The freestyle kick, it's easy, and they only focus on the breaststroke pull. Again, maybe 3 pulls without breathing, really getting used to the movement, the pattern of the pull, and not be in a hurry in doing it. Once the 3 pulls, we say they are able to now do the pull without the breathe. Like we said, on the kick we introduce the breathing. Now during the pull also, when does that breathing take place? So the key thing for breaststroke, like in butterfly and freestyle where you breathe out, or you turn your head to breathe in, I would say on the push phase, in breaststroke when the hands go out, we say, hey, keep your head in the water. Keep the head in the water, and when the hands come in towards your face, you start lifting the head up, and together with the hands going in front, you put your head in the water. So this is taught now with the freestyle kick. And once that is accomplished, the big challenge, putting it all together. So we got 3 things happening. The legs are independent, we got the arms that are doing the pull, and we got the breathing. We get them. So before we get the breathing, I think it's very important that they really connect the arms and the legs together. So generally speaking, the arms, it happens quite naturally. If it doesn't, we will teach them. We start with the arms, and midway through the pull, the legs start to commence its kick, and they almost finish at the same time. And this is what we see in Gavin when he does that one stroke without any breathing, getting the timing of the leg and the arms. Now if he is able to do that one stroke nicely, end with a glide, we introduce maybe 3 strokes where it also ends with a glide. And once he accomplishes, the arms and the leg movement, and it's now familiar with that, we introduce the breathing, which is to breathe on the in sweep and kick that hand forward with the arms also finishing at the same time. That is your breaststroke.